Don't settle for bad socks. Get comfort and grip at an affordable price with Pure Grip Socks Pro. Choose from 18 different colors at puregripsocks.com.
While there are going to be plenty that will disagree with me, which is funny if you're looking up a review for a specific pair of football boots, but particularly when it comes to budget-friendly options, I pride myself on calling out the ones that aren't good, and this pair in particular isn't just not good, it's borderline unsafe. Ladies and gentlemen, say hello to the brand new Puma Future Match Laceless, the $100 option in Puma's new Future lineup, where of course the main reason why most people are going to be attracted to this model is because of the laceless design. And honestly, in comparison to a lot of other laceless options in and around this price point, these do a lot of things extremely well. However, when it comes to lockdown and stability, these are legitimately an ankle injury waiting to happen. And not to skip to my conclusion before the review is even started, but this is not a pair of football boots that I think anybody should be playing in, and really makes me question who at Puma decided this would be a viable or safe product to release to the public. Nonetheless, we're going to go over all the details of what I think is actually really good about these, but ultimately what its downfall is as well, along with how they fit and feel on feet. And as always, whenever I don't recommend a product, I'm going to talk about what I think you should buy instead, because it's not these. Nonetheless, if you're interested in learning more, including how they fit and feel on feet, please stick around. And if for some reason you still really want a pair, you can pick them up below their normal retail price by way of exclusive SR4U coupon codes by checking out the first link down below. And as always, if you guys enjoy the brutally honest content on the channel, don't forget to drop a like on the video and make sure you're subscribed if you haven't already so you don't miss out on my reviews of all the latest football boots of 2023. So to start off on a positive note, most of this football boot is really good. The textile-based upper is soft, flexible, extremely pliable, and for a football boot at the $100 price point, I would say the material used for the upper feels above average compared to most other options that you can get for the same amount of money, perhaps even a little bit more. The texturing on the surface, along with just the general finish, does offer a little bit of additional grip on the ball, which is nice. The zigzags ultimately don't do anything, just like they don't on the top end model. It's just there for the sake of design more than anything. But in general, I really like the feel of this upper. And of course, with the laceless system, it does have a very clean feel on the ball and that there is no obstruction, just smooth knitted elasticated material across the top of your foot. The shape of the boot, I also think they nailed, which we'll talk about a little bit more during the on-feet portion of the video. And then the sole plate and stud pattern is also top notch. It feels very similar to what you're going to get on the more expensive Future Pro model, which does retail for $140, but at $100 at this particular price point, this again feels more like something you'd find on a high-end football boot rather than a takedown model. However, none of these positives matter because of how bad this laceless system is. You'll notice that it's made from a thin elasticated material. It stretches extremely easy if I stick my thumb inside, and inside you'll notice that there is no extra reinforcement. It's just what you see on the outside happening on the inside. And what's interesting about this design is that they made it flow in between the cracks of the zigzag. So particularly here in the midfoot area, realistically, where the top part of the lacing system would normally be to lock your heel down and press it into the back of the football boot, that actually spans really low on the lateral side and really low on the medial side, meaning that there is the most amount of stretch in the one area of the upper where you don't want it to stretch at all. Meaning that when you put these on, it's remarkably easy for a pair of laceless football boots, where typically that can be a bit of a struggle because there has to be some tension provided by the laceless system to hold your foot in place. And once you put them on, I think the shape is great. The boots as a whole feel really comfortable. If you're just sitting or standing, there's not much to complain about. However, it's not until you start running around, changing direction, and even striking a ball that you notice that there is so much stretch across the top of your foot and such a lack of stability that, like I said, this is probably the most unsafe feeling pair of football boots that I've ever had on my feet. And to be fair, the whole laceless concept typically doesn't lend itself well to creating a ton of lockdown because you do lose out on adjustability as soon as you remove the laces. However, this design feels so lazy and so much like an afterthought, so much like nobody actually ever put these on their feet before Puma decided to put them in production. It is shocking how little lockdown they actually provide. On feet, I'd like to believe that even somebody that doesn't know much about football boots at all could put these on and recognize that they just don't provide adequate stability or lockdown. It is the loosest fitting football boot across the top of the foot and around the ankle that I think I've ever felt in my life. With that said, they can be a little bit deceptive because if you didn't know any better, when you slide these on in a try-on type environment, whether you're just seated or just standing around, they're actually really comfortable boots. The shape is not bad. It's not until you start moving around that you notice that there is absolutely nothing holding your foot inside of these football boots. This is legitimately one of those pairs that could fly off your feet at any time, especially if you got them a little bit too big. There's just no lockdown whatsoever. When you bend your foot, you can see how much the top of the foot actually stretches. That elasticated knit material offers no tension whatsoever. And like I said, even with grip socks, the lockdown is just atrocious. If you are looking to make hard cuts and have your ankle roll as much as possible, these are the football boots for you. From a width perspective, they have plenty of width to them, particularly in the high ankle and midfoot area because of that laceless system. But ultimately that's meaningless because like I said, I don't think anybody should realistically buy these. And as far as sizing is concerned, it's the same as the rest of the Puma Future lineup. They do run about a quarter size long, but not necessarily enough for most people to end up going down in size. And for those that are going to question whether or not I'm wearing these in a size that is too big for me, as you can see, my toe is legitimately right at the end. There is no extra space whatsoever. And if you were to buy these with some extra growing room, the stability and lockdown issues would only be worse. Overall though, comfortable on feet, but as soon as you start moving around, all of that falls apart. So in conclusion, I think it's pretty safe to say that the Puma Future Match Plus Laceless is not a pair of football boots that I can personally recommend, and from a functionality standpoint, predominantly lockdown, stability, and therefore overall comfort, it's one of the worst football boots I've tried in a very long time. Not only are they objectively bad football boots, I'd make the argument that they're actually unsafe. With that said, if these were the plan for your next pair of football boots and now you're having second thoughts, which you definitely should, here's what I would personally recommend instead. Starting off with the recommendation that you should not buy a laceless takedown model. Any of them retailing at $100, quite simply, are not very good, either from Puma or from Adidas. You should stay away, and if you absolutely must have a laceless football boot, I would strongly recommend taking a look at previous generations of top-end models and spending a little bit more. You're gonna end up with a much better quality product. Laceless takedown models at this point simply have never been worth it. If you want to stick with Puma and you're a fan of the Future line, I would also strongly recommend spending a little bit more money on the Puma Future Pro. Those retail for $140, do in fact have laces, but are arguably just as good, if not better, than the top-end Ultimate model at almost half the price. With an SR4U coupon code, you can get them for pretty close to $100, and like I said, that is arguably the best value for money football boot currently on the market. Or if $100 really is the budget, you can actually save a little bit of money and go for something like the Nike Phantom GX Academy DF. Those retail for $95. They're not laceless, but they do have a lace cover, which gives you a little bit of that laceless vibe. They fit great, they feel great, they're less expensive, and again, for the money, they're actually really good value.